Let's find a nice place to set that up. What I like about the Handycam is you can turn the video around so you can see what you're filming. All right. A lot of nice shots of my butt. Okay, so last video was Cheddar Bay biscuits. Pretty easy to do. Now I'm trying something for the first time. Ribs. Never done ribs before. Camera 2. How do you like that? Camera 2 is almost out of space. That's fine. So I've been buying a whole bunch of stuff from Omaha Steaks during the pandemic because my son and I have been eating out so much. That was super. The place I could go to get it checked out was downtown. And there was a Timothy O'Toole's not too far from Northwestern. So I started going there. Just drying here. And then they opened one in Gurnee, which is not too far from where I live. I started going there regularly. Having friends from the old town come meet me up there. And then eventually what happened was I got on their mailing list, started to know a few people there. They opened up a few more locations. Next thing you know, I'm on this list for special events. So now during the pandemic, everybody's rediscovered Omaha Steaks. They're out of everything except for hamburgers and hot dogs. This particular restaurant group contacted me and they're like, hey man, we're doing a pop-up butcher shop. You want something? And I was like, oh hell yes. So, picked up some stuff. We'll just talk about the ribs now because this is what we're doing. Now I know from my youth and also from some friends I've been talking to on Facebook, there's a couple different ways people like to do it. And what I'm going to do here is boil them. And what I was taught growing up by some people that my parents knew that ran pizza places, and you know, you're a local mom and pop pizza joint that sells everything including ribs. You're like, hey, how does the local pizza joint have good ribs? Well, the secret is you boil your pork, all right, 5 minutes per pound. And what that does is it gets rid of a lot of the fat. Pork's got a ton of fat, as you can see. It makes it more tender, so it seems like you've been cooking it all day, you know, in a smoker, but you're not really. So we're going to do something like that here. Now, the other thing you want to remember, and I also learned this from Steve Dahl, that's the name of his show, is you always demembrane the back. There's usually a sticky membrane on the back of ribs, which is pretty disgusting when you go to eat them. It looks like my good friends at Timothy O'Toole's have already done that for me. So I'm going to rewash my hands, because I was also coughing. Try to cut that out. I'm going to make sure my water is at a real pitch boil, because that's the whole point of boiling these bitches, is the water's got to be boiling. Alright, my little friend camera 2. Flip you back around. Are you out of juice, or are you just... Got a nice wooden spoon? You need to have a nice wooden spoon in your kitchen. And stir these bitches. Now what people were telling me to do is to go ahead and bake these in the oven. But I don't like to follow directions. I don't like directions. It's people telling me what to do. As much as I love my peoples, I don't like to be told what to do because it just makes my brain work. So I'm going to cook these bitches in a crock pot. Because a crock pot, say it with me people, set it, forget it, you do whatever the hell you want. Now another nice trick for everybody is during this pandemic, I've been buying stuff in bulk, way cheaper at Walmart.com than you can get it anywhere else. So, I didn't just buy a little bit of barbecue sauce. I got this like 64-ounce mofo. Bam. And now we go for the giant ass Crockpotosaurus. Boom, bitches. Move my gaming tablet before it gets smashed. Oh! Or I break a leg. Oh wait, we're missing something. I need an audience. This is Harold the Cactus's new friend, Pugsley. And then here is generic Chinese knockoff imitation Pokemon. This one's had a little too much to drink. Okay, now that I have my audience, hi Pugsley, Chinese knockoff Pokemon, we will continue. I'm going to come over here, and this crock pot's already been cleaned previously. I'm going to turn it up to low. Now, when I make almost anything in a crock pot, whether it's chicken, which is usually where this recipe comes from, or pork, I always start with wishbone Italian or a generic hot dressing for a couple reasons. It's basically, this Italian salad dressing is basically just oil and spices. Things cook better in oil and they don't stick to even the crock pot. So you always start with this as your base. And I'm going to very scientifically measure the proper proportions here. Bam, bitches. All right. Put that back in the fridge. And then scientifically measure the barbecue sauce. Then what I'm going to do is, because the purpose of the Italian dressing again is to make sure that things don't stick, I'm going to swirl this around. So now I'm in effect oiling my crock pot. Yes, I know that sounds kind of sexual. Take it however you will. It's not wrong for a man to oil his crock pot on camera. It's 2020. All right. Now the ribs won't stick. I'm going to go ahead and take this off its boil. If you're a bachelor, you got to have tongs, bitches, besides your wooden spoon. When you're pouring contaminated water into your sink, you want to make sure your sink is clean, because if you've got utensils or pots and pans, you're pouring boiled, dirty rib water in there, obviously then your utensils are no longer clean. All right, nice layer of scum is formed. Oh yeah, look at that. So now my ribs are, after boiling for 5 minutes per pound, a nice uniform gray. You can see where a lot of the fat has been rendered off and is starting to collect the remaining fat. And you can, they already start to smell like ribs. So bam, right in the crock pot these bitches go. And we're going to mix them with our combination of barbecue sauce and Italian dressing. Get them all nice and oiled up so they don't stick. Should probably be grabbing can 3 here. So this is my combination of barbecue sauce and Italian dressing. Now I'll put more barbecue sauce in. What I'm just trying to do right now is get these things oiled up so they don't stick together. This will sit in the crock pot while I boil the other half of the ribs. Now remember what our ribs looked like before we boiled them. Completely uncooked, nice and meaty. When you boiled them correctly, they'll be a nice uniform gray. The gray won't look appealing, but believe me, it's what you want. That means the boil has done its job. All right, camera 3. These are going to sit in the crock pot while we're boiling. Oh god, if only there was smell-o-vision right now. Oh. All right, camera 3, come back with me. We're going to throw this on the maximum burn. The dangerous that close to the flame. No, help me! Alright, you'll hear some stuff in the background. I had to throw in some wash, take care of a little home minor emergency. You'll notice that Harold the Cactus has joined us, as well as our friends Chinese generic Pokemon and Pugs the Pugsley. And 2 bottles of my son's water that I'll put back over here, because now I don't know whose water is whose. And I thought we were supposed to be using the new filtered pitcher water, but one thing at a time, one battle at a time. So, using Cam 3, I have documented that the ribs were trimmed. Using camera 3, I documented that the ribs had been trimmed, cut in half, because my vendor was incredibly generous. I want to say that was way closer to 2 slabs of ribs than it was to a full slab. It was definitely more than a full slab. And they are boiling right now. A nice scum is rising, all the fat. So they look to be done. Again, minimum, we talked about 5 minutes per pound. Make sure your sink is clear of any clean implements. You're going to be pouring dirty water in the sink. You don't want to dirty up your supposedly clean implements. Again, we don't have smell vision, but these ribs are already starting to smell good. They've been boiled enough so it's essentially done cooking them, which is the whole point. We're cheating out on the low and slow process of cooking ribs for hours and hours and hours. And like every pizza place you've ever been to that serves ribs, they're increasing the process quickly by boiling them. All right, so these are ready to go in the crock pot. Again, I am going to add my key ingredients, one of which is already displayed. The Italian dressing, not just because it's a pre-spiced, there's garlic and some other stuff in here, but because it's got oil in there and it's a lubricant that'll stop everything from sticking to the side of the crock pot and being a mess to clean up. Some more Sweet Baby Ray's, which is mostly high fructose corn syrup, I found out today, depressingly. So I might as well be pouring sugar in here. Sugar, ketchup, and some spices. But you know, it's a pandemic. We should be lucky to be alive. And the clean implements, which are somewhere. Where are my clean implements? And in go the other two boiled ribs. I'll just mix this all around. Now I want these to start looking like ribs, so it's important that the barbecue sauce is applied liberally and thoroughly. So now, most of these have been boiled at that minimum that we talked about. I don't want to say it a 20th time. Piss everybody off. These don't need to be in the crock pot all that long. I would say minimum of an hour, because what the crock pot is going to do is continue to cook them and make it so that the meat falls off the bones. The boil was really more of a blanch, and the purpose of that was to get the unneeded fat off and to cut down the cooking time. We're cheating the low and slow with the fast and hot. The boil's the fast and hot, just like I like my women. Low and slow, that's no fun. Okay, so I'm going to put this in the crock pot. I'm going to set a timer for every 20 minutes so that this gets stirred a minimum of 3, count them 3 times before I even consider taking them out of the crock pot and doing a test run on one rib. So again, we're going to sit in the crock pot on low for a minimum of an hour. I'm going to set 3 20-minute timers. I won't bother taping that to enjoy the rib test, but I'll stir this no less than 3 times in that hour, just to warm it up. Here we go, bitches. Go full southern here. Ribs and biscuits. Bam, bitches. And here we go. I can make sure our cute little friends are in the picture. Now this is why when you get ribs at a fast food place or at a restaurant, a lower end restaurant, oh, come back, punctually. They have barbecue sauce dumped all over the top of them because they don't get that natural look to them when you smoke them all day. They don't get that look, so they drown them in barbecue sauce. So the question is, how do they taste? They seem pretty soft. Definitely well done. So I'll do the typical restaurant slash pizza place thing. And before these would be served, they would be like this. Right? Oh yeah, we cook these all day. Uh-huh, sure. But the question is, are they good enough? And I'm about to find out as soon as my biscuit pops out of that toaster. Won't you wait with me? Oh yeah. What? Whew. Look at these bitches. Beautifully toasted. Now, are they good enough? I'm gonna say these are way good enough. Am I sucking the meat off the bone? Oh yeah. Big success. I'm gonna finish that. And the rest is gonna stay right where it is.